They're very open, freewheeling affairs. This can be open and freewheeling as well. This town hall is specifically focused on small businesses, the plight of small businesses in this country, the unemployed, why Americans aren't working, why our economy's not growing, why the engine of this country, our small businessmen and women, are struggling so. So this is an issue-specific town hall. Let's try to keep it on this issue. As always, you know me, I'm big on rules, right? One rule at our town halls: respect. Respect every opinion in this room. Good or bad, crazy or indifferent, respect everybody who speaks. I am very blessed, we are blessed, and I'm thankful. I've got to be on my best behavior tonight. I've got one of my chairmen here. The chairman of the Small Business Committee, Congressman Sam Graves from Missouri, is with us today. Let's give him a big round of applause. You know, I'm just a freshman in Congress. What do I know, right? We have a great committee. Chairman Graves is a wonderful chairman. I would dare argue that he probably knows as well as anybody in Washington what small businesses are struggling with out here. He and I have had a pretty full day. We've visited a couple of these businesses. We went over to Harper College and talked to them about a fascinating new manufacturing program that they are going to launch. It's been a very interesting, informative day. So we're going to cap the day off with a town hall. Now, Chairman Graves has staff here. Congressman Walsh has staff here. Our staff will be taking notes. You've heard me say this a lot. Everybody in Washington thinks they know so much. They don't. Everybody in Washington thinks they're the experts. They're not. The experts, the people who know a lot in this country, especially when it comes to small business and creating jobs and getting this economy going, are the folks out here. The men and women who run businesses in Schaumburg and Elk Grove and Addison and Palatine and Bloomingdale. Everybody in my profession would be well advised to listen to them. Too many politicians do things in Washington because they think they know what's best, and we don't. So this is informative for the chairman. It's informative for a subcommittee chairman on the Small Business Committee. This is to provide us with information. So primarily, what I'd like to do tonight, and what Chairman Graves would like to do tonight, is get your thoughts about issues that matter. Let's be blunt. If you walked with me for an hour and a half through any town in this district, I would show you neighborhoods and office parks and corporate centers that look like ghost towns. For lease, for sale, empty, boarded up buildings, empty, boarded up restaurants, empty, boarded up strip malls. They're dying. Our unemployment rate is what, 8.2%? That's not right, right? It's a lot higher than that. Our economy's not growing, is it? Revised downward last week, 1.5 growth, that's not growing. The engine of our economy, that thing that gets this country to take off, is the small business. The 4 to 5 person shop, the manufacturing plant that employs 125. These are the people that create jobs. And I'll try to stay very non-opinionated tonight. Hey, I can do it. Right. We, in our profession, would be well advised to listen to businessmen and women. There's a lot on our plate that we've got to decide before the end of the year and then beyond that. Couple quick things. I said when I ran last time, and I still believe it, I don't know of a group of people in this country, seniors come close, but I don't know of a group of people in this country that have a target on their back like small businessmen and women. Again, if you followed me around through Elk Grove or Schaumburg or Palatine or Addison for an hour and a half, you know what's amazing? I guarantee you, I guarantee you, over the course of an hour and a half, we would meet grown men, 50, 55-year-old men, who would take us into their warehouse, where 4 or 5 years ago they employed 50, 60 people, and now it's him, a receptionist, and maybe one other guy in the warehouse. And I guarantee you, within an hour and a half, a 50 to 55-year-old businessman will break down in tears. It's happened to me every time I've gone out. Every time. So if you're looking to have a lot of fun, don't join me. Every time I go out, that happens. Shame on this country, shame on our government for making life too tough for them. Final point. I caught a lot of grief last year, if you remember, because President Obama called a joint session of Congress, actually about last year at this time. And it was to announce his 5th jobs plan, maybe 4th. And I said, the heck with it. The heck with it. I'm not going to go sit on the floor of the Congress, a joint session of Congress, which, by the way, should be reserved for pretty momentous historic things, and listen to this president tell us how to create jobs in this country again. So I didn't go to that. I came home, I held a town hall with 110 small businessmen and women, and I asked them, you tell me, how do we create jobs in this country? And almost identically, they all told me the same 3 to 4 things. I'm not going to tell you what those 3 to 4 things are, but I have a feeling you know what they are. So, thank you for coming. We're going to open this right up to question and answer. I'll sort of moderate the town hall. When I'm in trouble and I can't answer a question, I'm going to turn to my chairman. If we get a really tough question, I'm going to turn to the chairman right away. But thank you for coming out. Don't hold anything back. Tell us what's going on out there. We've got a pretty good idea, but we don't know for certain. We have almost everything under the sun about to expire by the end of the year. The Bush tax rates, and there are a bunch of taxes beyond that. We are in debt up to beyond our eyeballs. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. It's a pretty big election. Help your policymakers get things right. So, thoughts, questions, or comments? Who wants to start us? Let's go all the way in the back. And by the way, I'm going to have not a heavy gavel, but I'm going to be a tough moderator tonight. So get to your point, make your point, ask your question. No filibusters. Don't go on too long. Chairman Graves and I want to hear from everybody. Yes, sir.
From 84 until 86, I attended conferences of a software company that sold accounting software to major corporations. 57, 37, half the agencies in the Beltway owned this software, including the FBI and Metra, the subway company, every other hospital around here, half of the Crane, Chicago 550 businesses use the same package. I was the expert. They had conferences, I taught breakout sessions. I got to Washington, D.C., talked with the FBI about getting a contract. Instead of making $48,000 a year, I could make $150 an hour as a consultant to Washington, D.C. And I was perfect, had the skills, had everything, but I had 2 problems. Number 1, I wasn't black. I was a blue-eyed, blonde, white guy. So I didn't qualify for the 8A set-asides. And B, because I was a solo practitioner, a one-man corporation, they wanted me to become an employee of another consulting company because of something called Section 1706. of the Tax Reform Act of 1986 that says if I become a subcontractor to another consulting company, I could not remain a contractor and run my own business. I had to become an employee of Arthur Andersen or Arthur Young. And because of that, I ended up becoming an employee of other consulting companies because I couldn't get business because of this thing called Section 1706. I was elected by my peers president of the ICCA, Independent Computer Consultants Association, Chicago chapter. The guy sitting next to me used to come to these meetings. Yet there's this tax code that puts independent businesses out of business for the crime of being small. Why can't that be repealed? Should have been repealed in 1987, but it was favored by Arthur Young and Arthur Andersen, the big consulting companies, intentionally trying to legislate their smaller competitors on the business. Why? When is this going to be repealed?
I don't know specifically, and maybe Chairman Graves wants to jump in. It's part and parcel of a idiotically complicated, complex tax code that big corporate interests, right along with big government, have created to benefit big corporate interests. Our tax code doesn't benefit small businesses, independent practitioners. Our tax code is designed to benefit the wealthy. Wealthy individuals, big corporations who have the money, the wherewithal to find the accountants and lawyers, to find every loophole and deduction under the sun to minimize their liability. This is a story I'm sure Chairman Graves has heard as well. We hear over and over. Small businesses don't have those resources. So whenever Washington does these big grand things like Dodd-Frank or Obamacare, it's typically small businesses that are unduly impacted. I mean, radically impacted by these laws. Look, big business doesn't want Obamacare, big business doesn't want Dodd-Frank, but they'll shrug their shoulders and say, all right, we're just going to have to hire more accountants and lawyers to figure out our way around it.
In the late 80s,
quickly.
There were 3,000 small businesses in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, most of which went out of business. We would have 300 get together for dinner once a month at the merchandise mart, but there were 90% more people who couldn't attend because they were busy. Most of those guys went out of business by 1990 because of this section.
Absolutely, and most of those guys don't have, again, the lobbying interests that can represent them. Chime in, jump in.
I'll add on another part. My wife's part of a medical practice that has to implement electronic medical records by 2014 in order to get Medicaid reimbursement, Medicare reimbursement. A lot of practices I know and I'm familiar with, because I'm an IT consultant, are facing the same problem. Doctors are going out of business, they're firing nurses and other staff. And again, it's a government regulation that's basically driving on business. And all these doctors are forming bigger practices where you're getting worse health care. You're no longer a patient, you're just an object that comes through the door. When's that going to stop?
Repeal Obamacare.
Well,
Hey, look. We're 3 months from an election. Sometimes I reach a point where I'm tired of, never tired of, but tired of hearing these same litany of issues. And I agree with you. If we don't repeal Obamacare, let me say something audacious. Family doctors are gone. Solo practitioners are gone. So ladies in the house, raise your hand if you're a woman. I love asking that because you always get two guys that scratch their head. Undoubtedly, you get two men who scratch their head. Women in this country who make the lion's share of the healthcare decisions for ourselves and our families in this country. Talk about a war on women. Taking away the family doctor, taking away the solo practitioner. Do you know that doctors are leaving the profession in droves?
yes.
Because of Obamacare. So, you talk about a war on women, you talk about a war on all of us, a bureaucrat in between you and your doctor. a 15-member unelected panel of people that are going to